How's it going? It's Bowman here with another Esports Meditation video. Today we're going to be talking about surviving 2016 in the esports scene. This last year was a very exciting year, which it's actually, I'm very optimistic about 2016. So what we're going to be covering today is a few of the details as far as what investors and what companies and esports teams are going to have to deal with, and what kind of numbers and data are supporting that, and going into that a little bit. So we're going to first talk about the data and numbers and how the scene is shaping exiting 2015 and going into 2016. We have different investments and consumer spending to consider, with a lot of venture capitalists getting into the scene. And that's why the next topic will be consumer spending, because those investors want a return on that investment. So we're going to dive into, the money that's spent per fan in regular sports and compare that how that is in esports so far this year and the opportunities that revolve around that. We're also going to talk again about the return on investment for those companies, whether they're the investors or the actual esports teams. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls and things that we need to worry about. Now, to preface this again, a lot of this is my opinion based on the facts and my experience within the scene so far. Feel free to discuss it down in the comments below as we go forward. But to kind of start off, what we're going to talk about first is just kind of, where we sit exiting out of 2015, going into 2016. Overall, 2015, we had over 200 million viewers. A lot of different data companies like Newzoo and SuperData consider about 113 million of them to be enthusiasts. And what enthusiasts are people who watch multiple esport events a month. So more than just one, more than just your casual viewer, but these people who usually at least once or twice a week are checking out some sort of esports events. And a lot of those enthusiasts are not just viewers, but they're players as well. Whether, they're doing small daily tournaments or weekly tournaments from many of those websites that are out there between consoles and PC. Whether it's like ESEA, and I can't remember the one for consoles that's popular with COD and everything. But at the same time, most of those viewers, and a lot of viewers, and myself included, watch esports events for games that they don't even play. Like, I don't own a console, but I love watching Super Smash Brothers and fighting games. I do enjoy watching some of the COD tournaments, the Madden tournaments. Like, they just had their draft bowl the other day, and that was exciting to watch. Actually, my brother's coworker was in the group stages for that tournament, so that was exciting. So that's kind of where we sit, is, and to kind of put in perspective of those numbers to real sports, 113 million enthusiasts is the same level of viewers that you get with like the NHL and ice hockey around the world. So that's where esports is coming out of 2015, is we're getting to the popularity and the viewership, the consistent viewership that you see in a lot of your near top tier sports like the NHL and baseball and basketball and stuff like that. And then, soon we'll break down later what that means money wise as well. But let's talk about money as far as like the money the scene generated. And there's a couple different numbers that are out there. I'm going to talk about them both, just so you can see the range that's happening. The first is, on average, most of the agencies that have collected data over the year, show that 2015, the esports market worldwide was at least 300 million plus as far as overall revenue, and SuperData puts it as of October 2015 around $747 million year round, and that's total revenue, as we'll see here, with the 77% indirect and 23% direct. And what the indirect is that's just money from sponsors and advertisers trying to get their names into the esports scene in front of the viewers. This is like Coca-Cola, this is your Geico, this is your Nvidia, your Intels, people who are just trying to get their brands in front of these viewers to sell their products. Now the direct revenue, that comes more from like ticket sales, merchandise sales. It's a little bit from betting, actually, which is a huge scene, which I might talk about in a different video, because that's just a completely different thing. But things where, these esports teams and these companies are selling directly. So, and, if you go to any of the esports events, they have different paraphernalia like jerseys and t-shirts and mouse pads. And I think Fnatic has Fnatic gear now where they sell their, sponsored brands of mice and keyboards and stuff like that. So obviously 300 million to 747 million is a huge range, but again, different reporting companies are reporting different revenues so far for 2015 as far as the esports scene in general. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about what that means as far as like the direct income. In traditional sports, going back to those numbers, let's compare like the NHL to esports, where we got about that 115 million enthusiasts that watch those esports and the NHL. And on average, in most pro sports, the average fan spends about $20 to $56 direct, whether that's buying jerseys or paraphernalia, tickets to events, and various other things that directly impacts the revenues and the profit margin for those companies. In comparison, in esports, it's about $2 per fan. Now, part of that has to be because in regular sports, there are way more venues to watch events live. Like, there's most major cities have multiple sports teams between football, basketball, baseball. I mean, think of Chicago. They have 2 baseball teams. They have a hockey team. They have a football team. And most major cities have multiple venues where you can go and watch these events. And while you're there, people are buying jerseys. People are buying, concession stand stuff. They're buying the tickets and upgrading to box seats and all these different things. In esports, you don't have as many venues to go out and watch these events. You do have a lot of venues in Europe. You have a couple venues over in like South Korea and China and stuff like that. In the United States, we really only have 2 dedicated venues, one in Los Angeles, and then we have the new MLG arena in Columbus, Ohio. But like for your average fan, it's not like a quick hour, 2-hour drive to go watch your favorite team play on that weekend, or or when you get off of work, you can just drive downtown and go watch one of your teams play, in the evening match during the week. So that has a huge impact on why it's only $2 per fan in esports. And that's also a huge opportunity for these esports companies to start getting more direct income through merchandise, through different ticket sales to these events. Like, I'm really hoping to go to the MLG major coming up here in April, and I know the ticket prices are like $49 and $150 for the VIP pass. But another way to get direct revenue is a lot of sites are setting up betting. Now, the betting is a whole different topic between betting in-game items versus real money, and there's also a whole debate on the legality of that as well. Hence the FBI investigation of a few of those companies right now. But one of the challenges that esports companies and people in esports are going to have this year is getting that direct income. It's a very sponsor-driven market right now, to where sponsors are throwing money at these companies to get their names out there in any way, shape, or form. And that's unfortunately for a lot of esports companies where the revenue is coming from. And if you're an investor looking at those companies, you're probably going to put your money into the companies that are generating more direct income than the ones who are literally solely income based on just the sponsors and advertisers. So kind of elaborate that in a little bit more. How do these companies in esports generate revenue right now? A lot of different ways. Obviously, the biggest one's sponsors. Again, it's a sponsor-driven market. You can't go to any esports event without seeing the major sponsors. Most of them are, already in the gaming world, like your like Nvidia and Intel, AMD, your peripherals that market a lot of these products. But there are a few others, like G Fuel is a huge one right now, which is it's G Fuel, and this is non-sponsored by anyone, obviously, but G Fuel's grown huge, where they're distributing over 80 countries, and they directly market through esports and gaming in general. Obviously, another source of income is prize money. If your team's successful, they're going to be generating prize money. They're going to be bringing in that money. And the last year was a huge year for prize pools. I mean, we saw the Dota 2 international prize pool of almost 18 million, to where the number one team took home $6 million. I mean, that's just insane. The Smite tournament generated over $4 million prize pool, and both of those, mind you, were crowdfunded through in-game products and various things. But the prize pools are getting up there, so that is a serious contender. Even if you don't win, the second, third place prizes for some of these are pretty good. Obviously, Counter-Strike has their majors and minors that all have the various prize pools, and the minors are actually getting up there in prize pools as well, which begs the question: this year, are we going to see the prize pools increase for some of the majors by the end of the year? I know right now it's still $250,000 for the I believe the champion. It's either the champion or the prize pool. I forgot to look that up. But it's going to be interesting to see how those prize pools develop over the rest of the year. Merchandise, jerseys, t-shirts, mouse pads. Mouse pads are easy. Cups, sports mugs, pencils, pens. There's lots of ways to diversify in merchandise. Peripherals like the Fnatic gear that they're selling, where their brand's on it, but it's all about that gaming precision, according to their advertising. Also, user-generated broadcasts. I mean, obviously Twitch is huge. Amazon bought it for $1 billion. But that generates revenue between streaming and subscribers and ad revenue, and donations and different things like that. Tickets to events, having more live events for players and viewers to come to. And obviously they had a couple events at Madison Square Garden last year, which was exciting, between League of Legends and ESL, I believe, had an event there as well. But also betting. A lot of sites are getting more involved in the betting side because, as we know, from Las Vegas and everything like that, the house always wins. So, and betting's huge in esports. So at the end of the day, you're going to get a lot of revenue from there as well, and it's an opportunity that is being looked into, but it's also not fully tapped yet. Some of the pitfalls we'll talk about real quick before we wrap up this video. Again, that direct revenue. As we saw, less than a quarter of revenue right now for the average esports company is from direct revenue, and venture capitalists, as they invest to it, want that percentage to grow, because that means they're going to get a better return on investment. They're going to be more inclined to invest more money into the company if they see a positive growth in direct revenue. So if you're an esports company out there, I would definitely make sure you're definitely focusing on some of these direct revenue sources. It's still a sponsor-driven scene though, so if you want to make money in 2016, you got to get those sponsors. And that means your marketing's got to be on point. There's a few companies out there, that hold, little tournaments and daily competitions and stuff like that. Some's in the hundreds of thousands of players who do almost zero marketing. Like, it's really sad when you say you have 180,000 players in your community, and yet your average YouTube video has less views than my videos, and I just started. Like, you should, for those types of companies, your content that you're marketing out there, get it out there. Use Reddit, use Twitter, use all the different sites. Have your sponsors promote your videos as well on there. Get those videos sponsored by those different things. Market yourself out there to get your name out there, because then that brings more traffic to your sites. That turns back into merchandise sales and everything like that, and storytelling. I'm running out of time here, but storytelling is huge with your players and the tournaments and the brands, whether it's World of Tanks, Smite, League of Legends, Counter-Strike. Storytelling's huge as far as driving your business, because you people want to become emotionally invested in your team and in your company. Word of mouth, always huge. Just not to the point of spamming, but get your name out there. If people are saying your name on the streets when they're talking to their friends at work and stuff like that, that's huge. I know I got coworkers, we talk about the esports scene all the time. Having star players always helps. Those star players naturally bring an audience to your team, to your company. It's going to be huge, and obviously just have success. If you have teams that are successful in the scene, you're going to be great. So that kind of wraps up my video. Kind of quick, I know, and dirty real quick, but surviving 2016 is going to be exciting overall. The scene's only going to grow. Hopefully, maybe, potentially, it'll reach $1 billion in total esports revenue this year, which would be exciting. I just hope companies and businesses, really take time to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there, and again, focus on generating more of that direct income. Because other than that, share, like, and favorite this as you see fit, and we'll see you guys in the next video.